May God protect us. May God nourish us. May we work together with energy and vigor. May our study be enlightening and not give rise to misunderstandings. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Charnuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagat Gurum. Om, I salute Krishna, the Guru of the universe, God, the son of Vasudeva, the destroyer of Kamsa and Chanura, the supreme bliss of Devaki. Well, let us continue with Jnana Yoga, Chapter 2, the Yoga of Knowledge. We are working on verse 44. Today we will finish 45, start 46, hopefully. And it will go like that. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya pakrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau navidhiyate. Those whose discrimination is stolen away by such talk grow deeply attached to pleasure and power, and so they are unable to develop that concentration of the will which leads a man to absorption in God. That was verse number 44. So last class, remember, we talked a lot about the gunas, and basically Shri Krishna was slowly introducing the ideal karma yogi is one who is beyond attachments, and in a way he has a specific attitude toward his life, his work, God, and everything. And that particular attitude, apart from samatvam, with tranquility, was the fact that he was able to concentrate. His mind was very sharp, and he knew exactly his goal of life. And this is extremely important for all of us to understand what the goal of life is. Now, who can tell me? What is the goal of life? Bliss. Parties. Good, like that. What else? Peace. So, the goal of life is?
Precision, perfection, and discipline.
Wow. Well, those are the means. Perfection may be the end. And moksha is? Freedom. We want to be free. Free of what? Or free from what? Limitations. And where are the limitations coming from? Maya. Very good. And what is Maya? Duality. Excellent. And then Maya has got its powers. Her powers, they bind us. We spiritual beings are being enjoyed by Maya. So arise and awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. So what is the goal of life is freedom. We want to be free. It's called moksha. So here in this verse, it is important to understand that for a karma yogi, the one who is in the process to attain that goal of life, he needs something which is very precious to him, and that is concentration. We need to be focused. We need to be alert. We talked about a little bit on Sunday about the need to be of alertness in our life, regardless, monks, non-monks, nun, no problem. We are all human beings, and we are all struggling towards that goal. So he's talking about those who unfortunately their intellects are carried away by lack of discrimination and judgment. Mm? So for one who basically Sri Krishna ended up defining or qualifying this person to be a Rajasic or someone who of a Rajasic nature, who is after sense pleasure and money, without discrimination. Now again, I'm going to say this again, it's not wrong to go after money or sense pleasure, but without discrimination, we are lost. Okay? So those who deny the truth, those who lack discrimination, those who lack determination, who are full of worldly desires, hungry for rewards of heaven, deeply attached to pleasure and power. Now Sri Krishna is telling us, watch out. In short, he says, these people are everything for me. Yes. And the nature of selfish people, yeah. You're a little selfish. The nature of selfish people is very Rajasic. So there is a difference between being efficient and being, how would you translate? Those who can do things with, okay, let me put it this way. Efficiency is defined as someone who can reach the goal without taking care of the means. And someone who does take care of the means and also reaches the goal, okay, acts with more efficacy. That was the word I was looking for. Okay? Efficacy. Thank you. So I remember, I just was telling you this, and I remember this when I studied this long ago in administration. They were telling us the difference between being efficient and someone who is
efficacious.
Efficacious, there you go. So, in short, we should be efficacious. Efficacious, because we take care of the means, and also the means, if we take care of the means, the end will be taken care by itself. And that's what Swami Dhyanayogananda so perfectly described as the definition of karma yoga, someone who takes care of the means. So yes, selfish people are Rajasic people, and they are unintelligent because they lack discrimination. And intelligent people here means thinking that material accomplishments alone can make your life successful, that wealth alone can accomplish everything. In the words of Sri Ramakrishna, there are many pandits who speak words of wisdom, but they merely talk. They don't live up to them. They are like vultures, which soar very high, but keep their gaze fixed on the charnel pit. What I mean is that these pandits are attached to the world, to lust and greed. Like the vultures, they are in search of the carrion. They are attached to the world of ignorance. If I hear that the pandits are practicing discrimination and dispassion, then I fear them. Why is that? If I hear that the pandit, who generally fool their mouths with words of wisdom. But if I hear Sri Ramakrishna says that one of them is practicing discrimination and dispassion, then I fear them. Why?
Fear means respect.
Yes. In this context, it means respect. Why? Discrimination and dispassion. So any amount of knowledge will not do unless these ingredients are included: discrimination and dispassion. Otherwise, I look upon them as mere goats and dogs. Compassion, love of God, and renunciation are the glories of true knowledge. Compassion, love of God, and renunciation are the glories of true knowledge. Such men's desires are for the body, for food and drink and enjoyment. Such a man never comes to that concentration which leads to freedom. Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it hard to accept?
Sure. Yes.
Why?
Because we enjoy enjoying.
Okay.
We're passionate.
Very good. Nothing wrong till now. Is it hard to accept? Compassion, love of God, and renunciation. Who can define renunciation here? In the context of knowledge. Surrender?
Knowing what you don't know.
Knowing?
What you don't know. Or knowing that it's okay not to know something.
Knowing that you don't know, yes,
Knowing
okay.
that you don't
Well,
know what
that's
you
a
know.
start. The moment you start knowing, then see, there is in India, when I was in India for the first time, they have so many rules, and I didn't know many of them. You see, like we shouldn't use our left hand, and so on. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, for every mistake, you are like, oh, please, I didn't mean, to be disrespectful. I said, no. If you don't know, that's not a problem. Now, the moment you know, there is a problem. So for all of us, unfortunately, it's all over. Because the moment you start knowing, then you have to be responsible. Okay? Now, I'm going to clarify this for the peace of many of us. Because when we read renunciation, love of God, and sometimes it's hard. Okay, what is real renunciation? Can anybody here define what real renunciation is?
Is the process of disidentification of the soul from the ego consciousness, labyrinth, or Kriti and Prusha in the terms of yogis.
Mm-hmm.
Because Prusha is your divine essence, your God self, or some people call it soul. And Kriti is the matter and form and thought processes. And renunciation happens once spirit awakens to its true nature, which is Brahman.
Wow, that sounds good. Sounds technical, but very good. Basically, when you awake to the truth that we are under the realm or the rule of Prakriti. Prakriti means Shakti. Prakriti means Maya. Prakriti means power. The goal then is to go beyond. In the next verse, we're going to talk about again the gunas. Nishtraya Gunyo. Nishtraya Gunyo is the one who is beyond the gunas. So, who of you were sitting in the shrine during Arati? Most of you. So we do a chant written by Swami Dhyanayogananda who praises that who has gone beyond the three gunas. In this particular case, we sing this to Sri Ramakrishna. But if you notice in this particular song, well, I wouldn't call it song, there's stotra, verses. There is no name. It's just, it chants the glories of someone who has transcended, who has achieved moksha. Have you noticed that? Chant the, no, what is that, Swami? No. You start. Kandana Baba. Breaker of the world's chain. We adore thee, whom all men love. Spotless. There you go. Thou art above the gunas three. So Maya means the three gunas. And unfortunately, we are all under these gunas. But the goal of life is to go beyond the gunas. So here it comes.
Can I, for like renunciation?
Oh yes, coming back to that.
Well, just for like a layman's term, maybe you could say instead of searching for satisfaction in finite things, you know, knowing that you can still have that, but you're not going to find true satisfaction in that. So you.
Yes, I'm going to explain this. Because when we say compassion, love of God, and renunciation are the true glories of knowledge. Again, I was there, and I was trying to introduce the next verse, which says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nityasattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. The Vedas teach about the three gunas and their functions. Now, we talked a lot last class about the gunas. You, Arjuna, must overcome the three gunas. You must be free from the pair of opposites. You must be free from the pair of opposites. Now, the whole world is all about the pair of opposites. It's like a huge rainbow with different colors, all coming from these two opposites. Now, what does it mean to be beyond the pair of opposites or free from the pair of opposites? There is only one way: to stay in the middle. Okay, and from there go beyond. So we talk about go beyond. That's that. Remember. So we must be free from the pair of opposites. The Vedas teach us about the three gunas and their functions. You, Arjuna, must overcome the three gunas. You must be free from the pair of opposites. Poise the mind in tranquility. Take care neither to acquire nor to hoard. Be established in the consciousness of who you are, the self, capital Self, Atman, always. Now, to remind you or to remember a little bit what guna, the three gunas are. Guna is a technical term. Basically, it means rope. Prakriti or nature or Maya is constituted by these three gunas, the three powers. Sattva is called equilibrium, Rajas, attraction, activity, and Tamas, inertia. So Prakriti is, Maya is, Shakti is the three gunas. Is it clear? The whole phenomenal world, this pair of opposites, is the three gunas. These three forces. Again, equilibrium, attraction and repulsion, or activities, rajas, and tamas is inertia. So on one hand we have rajas, on the other tamas, in the middle sattva. So Prakriti or Maya, the gunas, is matter and force. matter and force. Wherever there is name and form, nama rupa, there is guna. Tamas is typified as darkness or inactivity. Rajas is activity expressed as attraction and repulsion, and sattva is the equilibrium of the two. In the mind of man, sattva expresses itself psychologically as tranquility, purity, and calmness. Rajas as passion, restlessness, aggressive activity, and tamas as stupidity, laziness, and inertia. Sometimes one guna is predominant, sometimes another. And man's mood and character vary accordingly. Are you following me? Okay, very good. Thank you. However, the ultimate ideal is to transcend sattva. Why I'm saying this? Because in order to transcend the gunas, to transcend tamas, you need to get the help of rajas. If you are sleepy, lazy, there's only one way to get out of there, with rajas, activity. And from rajas, you overcome rajas with sattva. However, the ultimate ideal is to transcend sattva also and reach the source of everything, which is beyond. It's called the Atman, which is above and beyond the gunas. We heard this in the previous verses in the Gita: heat and cold, pain and pleasure, gain and loss, victory and defeat. Duals such as these are called the pair of opposites. And the pair of opposites are the gunas. Heat and cold, pain and pleasure, gain and loss, victory and defeat are the gunas. And they are therefore inevitable in the phenomenal existence. Does it make sense? It is life. It's made out of this pair of opposites. When a person refuses to be affected favorably or adversely by these happenings, and when he maintains his even-mindedness, he is said to be making progress. Traigunyam means worldly life. Traigunyam means worldly life. These three gunas is what we are experiencing here. The collection of virtues, vicious, and mixed activities, and also their results. Being after material accomplishment, material goal of life. On the other hand, nistrei gunyo bhava, that's what the verse says. It means basically to be free from desires. You should not be carried away by the pursuits of what we call artha and kama. Artha means security, to acquire for our security, and kama means desires or enjoyments or entertainment. So money and entertainment cannot be considered naturally the ultimate goal of life. So no doubt money and entertainment are necessary in our life, because without them we wouldn't be able to basically to function. But the human beings are born here for some higher purpose, and that higher purpose is inner growth. Because ultimately the peace of mind does not depend upon what we have, but peace of mind depends upon what we
Are.
what we are.
Very difficult.
Peace of mind does not depend upon what we have, but peace of mind depends upon what we are. Should I remind you what you are? You are of the nature of bliss, the nectar of all happiness, which is expressed in life as contentment. So, true Vedantins, the sign of a true Vedantin is to be content and happy, regardless. But sometimes you're allowed to get angry, no problem. So, if a healthy and strong inwardly person can enjoy both the presence and absence of wealth, if a person is healthy and strong within, then he can enjoy the presence and absence of wealth. Does it make sense? But if a person, he or she, lacks inner growth, then wealth cannot offer much to that human being. Many of us, we know what it is to be comfortably unhappy. Now, for one who is on the way towards the goal, it's called the karma yogi, she should not be enamored, overwhelmed by material pleasures. Entertainment, music, anything, you name it, any kind of entertainment, everything should be allowed. And here I need your attention, because it's not that we should not enjoy, we should not seek money, we should not seek pleasure. No. Everything is okay. It is allowed. Any sort of pleasures, everything should be allowed. We do, though, require entertainment, but you should not be carried away by them. You know what happens when a mother is, when you are a kid, your mother is always behind you. You can watch TV to some extent, but then maybe 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, but you should study. Like that, in the same way, it is allowed, but we should never lose sight of the ultimate goal of life. So, slowly what I'm coming to express is that artha and kama should be subservient of dharma and moksha. Dharma means values, moksha means freedom, not otherwise.
What was the first one?
Artha. Artha means wealth for the sake of security. Kama means entertainment.
How's the first one spelled?
A-R-T-H-A. Artha. So, if the priority of our life is not clear, and this happens to all of us, then we are in trouble. That's basically the message here. If our priority of life is not clear, then we are in trouble. So, dharma, as I said, means values, and moksha means liberation or freedom. In this context, dharma will mean inner growth, because through that we grow and we approach to what we want, which is wisdom. Wisdom is described as moksha. Nischay gunyo bhava, transcend, basically it means we should transcend, be in control of these gunas. And gunas means the pair of opposites, and basically we are driven by this pair of opposites through artha and kama. The goal here is to accept the pair of opposites. The goal is to accept the pair of opposites. And we talked about this pair of opposites before. Do you remember, those who were present in the previous classes of the Gita? In verse number 27. Chatasya hi dhruvam mrityuhu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmada pariharyarthe natvam shochitum arhasi. We talked about that death is certain for the born, rebirth is certain for the death. You should not grieve for what is unavoidable. And when it comes to the unavoidable, there was one way to deal with it, and that was acceptance.
What was it?
Acceptance. So there are many situations which are choiceless situations, and we can't avoid them. So, and the attitude should be total surrender, total acceptance. Total surrender if you have a God, or if you want to surrender to the higher truth, which is called Brahman, or total acceptance. To learn to accept the choiceless situation is the one, or maybe one of the most important lessons of the Bhagavad Gita. To learn to accept. We talked about this on Sunday. Some of us were saying that it's hard to accept. But the answer was that we should focus in the self and not in our limited self or our ego. If we do not accept this pair of opposites and things that we cannot change, the unavoidable, like death, then what happens to us? We fear. We experience fear, we experience sorrow, frustration, depression, delusion. Therefore, inner growth, wisdom, leading to a spiritual wisdom, should be the primary goal of this karma yogi. In Shankaracharya's words, he said, he uses a word in his bhashya or commentary. He says nishkama. Nishkama means desireless. Now, what does it mean, desireless? To reduce basically those activities called tamasic activities and rajasic activities, and to put emphasis on sattvic activities. Do you remember what a tamasic and a rajasic activity or action was? Anyone? Rajasic karma?
Renouncing the fruit of the action.
That is sattvic.
Rajas is the active passion. I have to do it. I want it.
So from the standpoint of the beneficiaries, a rajasic action are those activities or actions where the only beneficiary is myself, the small self. And a tamasic, and sometimes I don't care about the means to get there. It's a selfish action. A tamasic action is not just, is more than rajasic. It's I don't care of the means, and they go to the extent of committing wrong. But a sattvic action is where the beneficiary is not just me, but everyone. So those are the actions. It's called the right action that we want to pursue. So Sri Ramakrishna says, you ask me why you don't feel stern renunciation. There is a reason for it. You have desires and tendencies within you. The same is true to Hasra. Hasra was a friend living with him. In our part of the country, I have seen peasants bringing water into the paddy fields. The fields have low ridges on all sides to prevent the water from leaking out, but these are made of mud and often have holes here and there. The peasants work themselves to death to bring the water, which, however, leaks out through the holes. Desires are the holes. You practice the repetition of God, the name of God, which is called japam, and austerities, spiritual practices, no doubt. But they all leak out through the holes of your desires. How can one attain yoga? By completely renouncing attachment to worldly things. The mind must be pure and without blemish, like the telegraph wire that has no defect. The devotion of a man has one desire. The devotion of a man who has any desire is selfish. But desireless devotion is love for its own sake. You may love me or not, but I love you. This is love for its own sake. The thing is that one must love God. Through intense love, one attains the vision of Him. The thing is that one must love God. Through the intense love, one attains the vision of Him. The attraction of a husband for the chaste wife, the attraction of the child for its mother, the attraction of worldly possessions for the worldly man. When a man can blend these three forces into one and direct it all to God, then he gets the vision of God. Now, I think I told you last class that sometimes the scriptures, the message of the scripture is a little bit overwhelming, because when you hear that you should be desireless, you should no passion, and our reality is quite the opposite. Well, we are learning why, because we are under the control of these three forces. So there is nothing wrong, clearly nothing wrong about it. It's natural. Because it's part of nature, we need to accept and understand that this is natural. Because if we don't, then we're still in trouble. You start being too hard on yourself, and that's not the way. So, Swami Vivekananda explains this very well, and listen to this. We all understand that desires are wrong, but what is meant by giving up desires? How could life go on? How could life go on? It could be suicidal advice. Now, see, he says it. Killing the desire and the man too. the solution is this. Not that you should not have property, not that you should not have things which are necessary and things which are even luxurious. Have all that you want and more. Only know the truth and realize it. Wealth does not belong to anybody. Have no idea of proprietorship, possessorship. You are nobody, nor I, nor am I, nor anyone else. All belongs to the Lord, because the opening verse, well, this is referring to something else, told us to put the Lord in everything. He's referring to the Isha Upanishad, where it says that the Lord is covering everything. God is in the wealth that you enjoy. He is in the desire that rises in your mind. He is in the things you buy to satisfy your desire. He is in your beautiful attire, in your beautiful ornaments. This is the line of thought. All will be metamorphosed as soon as you begin to see things in that light. If you put God in your every movement, in your conversation, in your form, in everything, the whole scene changes, and the world, instead of appearing as one of woe and misery, will become a heaven. The greatest name man ever gave to God is truth. Truth is the fruit of realization. Therefore, seek it within the soul. Get away from all books and forms and let your soul see its self, capital Self. We are all deluded and maddened by books. Sri Krishna declares, be beyond the dualities of nature. The moment you think, creed, and form, and ceremony, and the be-all and end-all, then you are in bondage. Take part in them and help others, but take care they do not become a bondage. Religion is one, but its application must be various. Let each one, therefore, give his message, but find not the defects in other religions. You must come out from all form if you would see the light. Drink deep of the nectar of the knowledge of God. The man who realizes, I am He, though clad in rags, is happy. Go forth into the eternal and come back with eternal energy. The slave goes out to search for truth. He comes back free. So far, any questions? Mm-hmm.
Because I think that I find that probably that's one of my biggest challenges. Like I tend to be very energetic,
Mm-hmm.
and if I don't, when I'm trying to do something or I'm trying to stay still, it goes against my nature.
No, it's fine. I mean, as we always say, we have to deify our activities. Deify our activities. Mm-hmm. When we say God and to put God before us, we need to remind ourselves who God is, and our goal of life. and be aware of these forces working within us and outside us too, as well. So as long as we do not lose sight of our goal of life, which is not to be controlled by nature, and work for it with our spiritual practice, it's called sadhana. Together with this, what we are doing here, which is getting together, is called satsanga. This helps to be reminded of all this knowledge. So, well, as long as, in order to get rid of a thorn which is inside you, you need another one to get rid of it. And once it's out, it's coming right now. You ready? Yavanartha udapane sarvata samplutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanataha. What does it mean? When the whole country is flooded, the reservoir becomes superfluous. Reservoir becomes superfluous. So, to the illumined soul, the Vedas are superfluous. To the seer, he who has known the self, all the Vedas are of so much use as a reservoir is when there is a flood everywhere. So if we analyze this verse, which is something that we are going to do, we have here clearly the definition of someone who has achieved moksha or attained moksha. Even this is superfluous because he sees and experiences God everywhere. A man possessed of self-knowledge has no need whatever of the Vedas. This does not, however, mean that the Vedas are useless. Only to the knower of Brahman they have no value. As the transient pleasures derivable from them are comprehended in the infinite bliss of self-knowledge. Is it clear? Okay. Basically, here the Vedas and the scriptures and the message is useful only for those who are still in ignorance.
So all of that.
Yes, thank you. But we need somehow to be reminded, and the beauty of this is that this spiritual heritage, that we are basically enjoying from these Hindu mind, who have these seers, who have realized this truth in their life, and they have, left these treasures, so that we somehow can tune to the truth. You see, through our intuitive knowledge within us. You see, and we are reminded, yes, that makes sense. I find this wonderful. And not just they remind us the truth, they also give us tools, which are all the yogas and any possible thing you can imagine that can help you going within. Anything that can help you going within is accepted. So, this Ananda means bliss. The fulfillment that a person enjoys through spiritual wisdom is all-encompassing fulfillment. Is all-encompassing fulfillment in which all worldly pleasures are included. So in this fulfillment, there is no space for any kind of desire, because they are all fulfilled. You enjoyed constant contentment, bliss, and that's what we want. We want to get there somehow. Everything we enjoy in our life is just bits of that. Any external thing we enjoy is making just a small, tiny little contact within ourselves. But the bliss we enjoy, the happiness, is coming from within us. Yes.
Is this the same as moksha?
Yes. Basically, this is for one who has attained to that. This is what he experiences. That any pleasure, any desire is being fulfilled already in what we call Ananda. So when the whole field is flooded, what is the use of a reservoir? Reservoir. Thank you.
You can't always stay in that high state. The reservoir, you need it later.
Well, that's okay, but at least we should know the standard. I mean, to say, yeah, but who can? But then what? What do we do about it? See, it's a very comfortable position if we do not. Once you hear about the truth and you don't do anything about it, then that's called samsara. So the fact that you hear about this and you understand and you do something about, what we call yoga, in a way, it's progressing, it's moving forward. If we just sit quietly and it's like, yeah, okay, that's too hard. It's over. Now we remain in ignorance.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because I felt a sense of bliss and peace and happiness, and then it kind of goes away, and then it comes back, and then like, oh, what did I do wrong? So well, But I think that's just part of life. But I keep wanting to just stay in the bliss because that's what feels good. But it's the opposite.
Yeah, well,
Instead of just, it's okay, maybe I won't do it.
what if we understand that, as you just said just now, it's okay? Because as long as we remain in these human bodies, and as long as we remain in this realm and under the rules of nature, it's going to be okay to be up and down.
And I think the ups and downs get smaller as you realize that.
So if we understand that what we are looking for, that what we are craving for, which is that Ananda, is already with us here and now, and we are being governed, our mind and our senses are being carried away by this pair of opposites. But if we are still reminded that we are happy here and now, regardless, then isn't it fun? You see?
That realization of the bliss that's always there, it grows. It seems to grow as you nurture it.
Yes.
But yet still you're being pulled by one another, but yet those aren't the truth.
Yeah.
That's
So if you are being pulled, just laugh. I say, oh, it's okay.
Well, that's a good one.
Just laugh, because, see, I got you, I see you.
Oh.
You see, just when you discover, there is also an illustration in the gospel when you see that mother is constantly explaining, but when you discover her, You go, oh, I'm seeing you. Then mother just moves away, walks away.
Is that the three gunas? I mean, are those the gunas that you see? Are they the ones that are?
Yes, when they are playing with you, when they are playing with your mind, with your body, with your moods. So what's the point of getting angry because you're angry? What's the point of suffering because you're suffering? Just accept it. Okay, I see it. And stay there. Stay put within you. And if you gotta do something to feel better, just go for a walk, repeat the name of the Lord, or meditate, practice some breathing. But what's the point of being carried away by this? All right. Now, am I that?
Which that you're saying that.
Well, am I that
What he just described.
power? Like this pair of opposites? No, I am beyond that.
Beyond seems to be a pretty important word.
Well, I know that sounds like too much. Even to talk about these things is like too much. In order to be able to completely swallow this and digest this, we need a lot of preparation. Do we have it?
Need what?
A lot of preparation, which is also described in the scriptures. Do we have it? No. But still, our Swami Vivekananda, who is our teacher here, he's of the opinion that we should hear about it. Even though we might not be ready, we should listen. It is called Shravana. Because once you listen, you might not be able to apply this completely in your life, but you should know. And sometimes, you never know. Whenever, the moment you need it the most, sometimes it just, boom, comes to you to rescue you. He also says that never mind if people cannot realize God in this very life, they will come back to the next birth with this knowledge already, because they had heard about it. So that itself is a plus in our life. So never mind if our failures. You see, for us, that we heard about it, there are no failures. It's experience. So we shouldn't be so hard on ourselves, knowing that this is our reality in this phenomenal world, being pulled by this pair of opposites. And the truth is something that we need to accept, and we need to do something about it.
So you talk about it Sunday, guys. You brought up again today. You just mentioned it. This thing about acceptance. I know in my life, and I'm sure most of our lives, we come in contact a lot of times during the day with situations that we have to be careful, because if we just accept things that happen to us and what we see, I think we become apathetic.
Yeah, this shouldn't be misunderstood. I mean, to accept that doesn't mean not to do anything.
Yeah.
If you can do, if you have to do, it's your right and your duty to do something about it. As much as possible, we should try our best to put efforts. You see, for things we can change, effort is the way. For things that we cannot change, but even if you try, and if you can't, acceptance. But you should try with effort.
There can be a fine line, because, I think particularly in our country, a lot of times we turn away from things. We say, you don't have enough power to do certain things. And I think we work.
Well, for the soul, there is nothing impossible. I mean, anything you can learn you see, but there are certain things that need to be accepted. The fact of life and death, the fact that sometimes, unfortunately, people may be born with some particular disability sometimes. You should try as much as possible to, but at the same time, acceptance also gives you some peace.
Accept it and accept the consequence. Or chase it but accept the consequence. Or don't chase it and accept the consequence. It's all in your hand.
Time is up.
Yeah, sometimes we need to regard or call on God, to give us the wisdom to see the difference.
Thank you.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.